Hello, everyone, and welcome to week 3. This week, we will be focusing on the effects of overpopulation. Our first vocabulary word is a verb, and it happens to be an idiom. So it is to fall short, which means to fail to be as good or successful as expected or hoped for, to fail to reach a goal. So our example sentence says, the party fell short of our expectations. Right? We thought the party was going to be a lot more successful, but it wasn't, so it fell short. Our next vocabulary word is reckless. It's an adjective, which means not showing proper concern about the possible bad results of your actions. So look at our example sentence. Texting while you drive is reckless, right? It's reckless because you could get into an accident. Our next vocabulary word is degradation, which is a noun. The verb form is degrade. So it means the act or process of damaging or ruining something. As a verb, it means to treat someone or something poorly and without respect. So our example sentence, there has been so much degradation in the car's performance that it can no longer be driven. So if we look at this car, we see that this car is degraded. We cannot drive this. It has been damaged to the point of no return. Emission, which is a noun, is our next vocabulary word. It means something sent out or given off, often in the form of energy or gas. Our example sentence says, the factory is trying to reduce its emissions and energy use. So if you look at this example photo, right, all this gas right here is being emitted, right? It's being given off in the form of emissions. No good. Our next vocabulary word is a verb, and it is to melt. Melt. It means to change or cause something to change from a solid to a liquid, usually because of heat. So our example sentence says, glaciers are melting at an exponential rate. Look at our snowman over here, right? We know that snow is a solid, but when it gets warmer, snow becomes liquid water. So we see our snowman melting. Our next vocabulary word is pollution, which is a noun. The verb form is to pollute. It means the action or process of making land, water, air, etc., dirty and not safe or suitable to use. So, our example sentence, the tests showed that there is high pollution in the water. Look at this picture. Look at all this plastic. This is all pollution, making the water and the land around it dirty and not safe. Our next vocabulary word is strain, which is a noun. It means something that is very difficult to deal with and that causes harm or trouble. Our example sentence says, the disagreement put a strain on their relationship. Our next sentence, or excuse me, our next vocabulary word is also a noun. Hallmark. Hallmark is a quality, ability, etc., that is typical of a particular person or thing. So, our example sentence he, Sammy Sosa, had all the hallmarks of a great baseball player. Our next vocabulary word is unemployment, which is a noun. The adjective form is unemployed. So, unemployment means the state of not having a job. The total number of people who do not have jobs in a particular place or area, and money paid by the government to someone who does not have a job. So, our example sentence reads unemployment has been increasing for the past 2 months. Our last vocabulary word is amenity, which is a noun, amenity. An amenity is something that makes life easier or more enjoyable. So our example sentence reads the hotel has every amenity that you could want. All right, our grammar point for this week is the present perfect. It's a verb tense. So the present perfect is a verb tense that shows that an action started in the past and is continuing to the present. So it's a started action, but it's an unfinished action. Let's look at some example sentences. In the affirmative positive, right, it looks like this: I have walked to school for 5 years. So you started walking to school 5 years ago and you still do it today. If you want to make your sentence negative, change has and have to either has not or have not. And if you want to turn it into a question, you just change the order of your subject and your helping verb. So I'm going to come back to this slide. So I want to point out that the present perfect is a compound verb, meaning it has two parts: your helping verb, either the form of has or have, depending on your subject, and your past participle. So, how do you make the past participle? Well, usually it's created by taking the base form of the verb and adding ed or d to it. So, let's look at start. I'm going to use start as an example. And I'm going to do this in pink. So, I is my subject. I, and then have is my helping verb. So, I have, sorry that it looks like chicken scratch. I'm going to put in my base form of my verb start. Ooh, it is hard to write on here. And then I'm going to add ed. So let me change this color. I have started. I have started watching Netflix. I started watching Netflix in the past, and I'm still doing it in the present. So unfortunately, there are quite a few irregular past participles that don't follow this pattern right here. And I have a list of them for you. So become, we know in the simple past tense is became, right? I became famous. But as a past participle, it changes back to become. So, right, he has become famous. Begin becomes begun. Bite becomes bitten. Break becomes broken. Choose becomes chosen. Come stays the same, it just says come. And do becomes done. More, drink is irregular. As a past participle, it becomes drunk. Drive becomes driven. Eat becomes eaten. Fall becomes fallen. Feel becomes felt. Go becomes gone. Know becomes known. Speak becomes spoken. Take becomes taken. And write becomes written. So let's go back to that first slide. And let's look at this chart here again with affirmative, negative, and the question formation. So we know that the present perfect is a compound tense. You take your subject, right? Who or what the sentence is about. So my subject is going to be I. And then you take your form of the present tense of have, and I have, okay? And then you take your past participle. So I have walked to school for 5 years. If you want to make it a negative, you take not and you put it in between your helping verb have and your past participle. So I have not walked to school for 5 years. And if you're making it into a question, you do a flip, right? You do a flip of the subject and the helping verb. So the helping verb comes first and the subject comes second. So have you walked to school for 5 years? If you need more help with this subject, I recommend you go into the slides and play this video. Unfortunately, when I play it on the video, you can't hear a thing, so you do have to do it yourself. Remember, listen to this video as many times as you need, and email with questions or come to office hours.